Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Well, it's a good-looking guy welcoming you into the cottage. Oh, wait, that's me. Hello, everybody. Steve Horner here. Welcome to everybody. I'm not kidding you. Everybody. No exclusivity here. I mean, long, tall, short, men, women, and those in between, whatever you call yourselves. We're talking about New York to Los Angeles to California to Denver and Tel Aviv and Hamas and not Minneapolis, though. Okay, I know. Not Minneapolis. You can send me an invitation request, but I don't know. You George Floyd people, you're a little bit too angry, a little too confused, but you send me an invitation request, I'll probably let you in. Everybody else, right on in, and I'll tell you folks, if the cottage is rocking, well then, and if the cottage is rocking, no need to knocking. You just barge right on in, and you'll be more than welcome. Well, so anyhow, last week I stepped into the bar to have a beer, and the good-looking chick says, "How you doing?" I said, "How do I look?" She says, "You look great." I said, "I feel good, like I knew I would. I feel good, like I knew I would. Oh, so good, so good. I got you. Yeah, that's James Brown, ladies and gentlemen, the soul, the godfather of soul, welcoming you here into the cottage. Boy, oh boy, and I being the host with the most, man, what a fun time. Well, we've got the popular issues here, and they're all with a real life slant, no hidden agendas. It's all just from my experiences, my wisdom, my ability to put the pieces of the puzzle together from my experiences. Okay, remember, I know I'm not God. I just work from my experiences. So no judgmental thing on your part. Just say, okay, that's Steve's perspective. I can kind of see his perspective. And in many regards, I am on board. If you've got viewpoints, I'd love to hear from you. I'm starting to hear from a few. Steve at stevehornerbooks.com. And don't forget to buy a book. I've got some sales going. Yeah, makes me feel good. Steve at stevehornerbooks.com. And then just go to stevehornerbooks.com and see my selection of self-written books. Well, this is where idealism meets reality, and you know that there is a lot of idealistic garbo crapo out there, and this is where we can talk really from the gut about hot issues and the source of today's chaos, and maybe there's plenty of it. But first, a little bit of cleanup time. Last week, if you'll remember, the song I opened with was "People Are Strange When You're a Stranger. Faces Look Ugly When You're Alone." Jim Morrison. That's a fun one to do at karaoke. The chicks love it, and so do I. It's fun, and that was Jim Morrison with the Doors. And I forgot to mention that Jim was one of the original founders of the infamous 27 Club. Remember what that is? It's that club that consists of those rock stars who died of drug overdoses and otherwise idiot behavior when they were 27, in their 27th year, prior to hitting age 28. And that list includes rockers like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, and the original Rolling Stones founder, Brian Jones. And I remember having a beer with a group of people in Denver, and they were talking about the 27 Club. Maybe Amy Winehouse had just died or something like that, and or killed herself. It's essentially suicide, being stupid like that, but it's by accident. But it's, putting yourself out in the cliff, at midnight with your blindfolds on. It's not a smart thing to do. And so I told them why I think it happens. At 27, you're not still the brightest bulb on the block, but you think you are. You've got, bless you, Sean, bless you, young man.
I tried to be quiet, sorry.
No, that's fine. Anytime you get a sneeze and or fart, this is, my cottage is your cottage.
I got the second one covered, don't worry.
Mikasa is, oh, good. Oh, God, no, you don't. Okay, anyhow, enough of that juvenile semantics. Okay, so anyhow. But like I say, strangers, there's no stranger. Come on in, give us your opinion on the world. Well, so anyhow, the fact or my take on this thing is that it's you think you've got the bases all covered by the time you're 27, but you don't. You see, you've got the money as a rocker. Oh boy, the world is your oyster. And but you're not that smart, but you think you are. But you've got huge crowd adoration, and then you've got access to all these weird frickin' drugs. You see, so you get high with your friends. Ha ha ha! Boy, that's fun. Oh man, let's do this again tomorrow night. And then you need to get high, because you've got to make the crowd happy, and so it does you in. And I think a lot more people these days are starting to recognize the errors of their ways. But in the early days, where a lot of these drugs first hit the scene and a lot of money with these rockers, that took them out by the time they were 28. And it was just kind of the perfect storm. I think that's what I'm coming to. The whole set of situations there is a perfect storm for doom and disaster. Oh, and a little known trivia about Jim Morrison is that his father was a captain or commander on a battleship parked in the Hanoi harbor, I think in 1965. When the communists were just starting to get a little antsy there, and we were kind of keeping our eye on them. But, we no doubt presented a threat to those commie gooks. And the ship took fire. And that's what put U.S. combat boots on the ground in Vietnam. Morrison's dad was the commander or captain. I don't know the term. I was in the Army. But my friend John is he's giving me the right the right answer right now. Can't read you, buddy. We'll talk later. So in one of Morrison's dark songs, and he doesn't have what you'd call upbeat, but this is real dark. The looming music, dum dum dum. It's a dark hall. I'm coming for you, Father. I am going to kill you. I am going to kill you too, Mother. And it is so dark. It's so pathetically twisted that this is the drugs talking. This is a twisted mind, and now after learning that bit of trivia, I understand why Jim was so angry at his father. It must have had something to do with his more conservative, patriotic military service than Jim's partying and drug taking. That's kind of what I'm thinking there. But this title, the title of today's program is kind of crazy, isn't it? Oh, by the way, before I get into that, a lot of you are listening to me now on audio, but maybe some of you are watching and visiting and listening on video too. And I'd like you to see the audio and to hear the audio, but to see the video as well. because the opening's kind of creative. I'm proud of it. I'm I'm kind of an animated looking type of guy, and I'd love to have your company here where we can all view each other. And the video then is available at Rumble. I'm not your digital expert, so I suppose it's rumble.com, Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner, something like that, and then Facebook. Facebook.com, Steve's Cottage. Look it up. You'll be able to find it. And we can all be groovy together in person. So the title, How to Be Jewish. How to Be Jewish. Well, and the reason that you're not able to do video on YouTube is that the snowflakes took me off of YouTube because I was giving you my impression of why the Jews are experiencing anti-Semitism. And now we got that ridiculous war in the Middle East that has been looming for 76 frickin' years of Jew bullying. That's how I look at it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But so the snowflakes at YouTube didn't want me to present my perspective. And we're seeing that my perspective is growing with popularity by these protests, these pro-Palestinian protests, anti-Jew, around the country. That never used to be, okay? So a lot of people are starting to understand that the story has two sides. And we're not advocating any meanness or anger or violence or anything here. The Jews' behavior, though, is what's causing it. Not their race. It's not their, facial features. It's not their money-making expertise. It's their advocacy for everything liberal from abortion to Zionism. You see, A to Z. And, of course, you're dealing with the age-old conservative, patriotic, father-oriented society in Palestine. And the Jew, kind of has this feminist-oriented take on life now, as does the United States, and it has done us no good at all. And so a lot of that is what has caused the animosity. And, of course, with the United States supporting the Jews, as they have for the last 40 years with $1 billion a month, that's like the bully little third grade girl on the playground who spits at everybody. But if you take her up on it, well, she's got 5 husky brothers that are going to kick the heck out of you. And that's the same arrogance that brings out the nastiness in the Middle East. That's why anti-Semitism is rising. It's the same thing with domestic abuse. Women have become very, very arrogant and bold with all these rules and laws and judges and prosecutors who are on their side. All the Joe Biden 1990s Domestic Violence Against Women Act, all that kiss-ass chivalry crapola has done nothing but create arrogance in these women. So if the men in their lives don't agree with them because she's being a cunt, C period, U period, N period, T period. Yes, that's right. Women have their periods, but we men, we're supposed to have that table-thumping attitude of the alpha male. So the cunt is an acronym for can't understand normal thinking. Available at stevehornerbooks.com. The sequel you might get a kick out of is Consequences. That's the tragedies that cunts create. And it's not just cunts creating it, it's pussy whip men who stand on the sidelines and say, oh, I don't want to oppose her because then we're not going to have harmony at home. Well, so anyhow, so then you get the tail end of that dysfunctional fallout. So, but who did the snowflakes at YouTube allow? Well, they allowed the Ben Shapiro show to go on. Ben's a Jew. Ben Shapiro, okay? That's not an Irish name, Ben Shapiro. I've known Shapiros, Jewish. Ben's a Jew. He's talking about his slant on what's happening in the Middle East. So when I talk about my slant in a non-racist, non-hateful, but meaningful way, I'm yanked. You can look back on the on the index. That's the show that was called The Sorrowful Jew. So anyhow, so this is called. So Ben Shapiro comes on, and his guests are talking about how the Jews have a rightful ownership to that whole Middle East area, that whole sandlot east of the Mediterranean. You see. And they're saying, oh, well, it goes back thousands of years. I mean, this obviously is Jewish area. And he's naming all the tribes of Israel and all the Canaan and all the history of that area. And Abraham saying, this is our land, you see, which I think is nothing but a Jew real estate grab. Can you believe everything in the Bible? That's up to you. Frankly, I don't, okay? I mean, most of it was discovered in 1947, pieced together. It's like Jew poems, Jew history, Jew good thoughts, Jew prayers. And, if you think it's the Word of God, well, then you better pay attention to what 1 Timothy says in chapter 2:12, because it says women shall have no sway over men in public policy making. So where the hell are you in that one? Oh, you're a buffet Bible thumper. I see you kind of take and pick and choose what you like for the moment so sweetheart doesn't get on your case. Well, that's part of the problem. And that, too, is how to be a Jew. And that's the title of today's show. So Ben is talking about, his whole take on that is who was here first. And I'm saying, folks, if you're going to buy that whole deal about who was here first, that's the owner of the property, well, then we in the United States better give this land from Los Angeles to New York, from Canada to Mexico, right back to the natives who were here first. Right? So if Ben's going to talk that big talk, he better walk the walk. But you see, that'll never happen because, that's a phony argument, isn't it? We better give the land back to the natives if we're going to follow what Ben Shapiro is trying to sell about his Jew story in the Middle East. See, it really doesn't make all that much sense, does it? How to be Jewish. Well, number one, this is kind of funny. Number one, when you meet somebody or you're on the stage, tell them you're Jewish right from the beginning, within the first 5 minutes. Yeah, well, I'm Jewish, and as a matter of fact, our family did know Anne Frank. And immediately you are drawing sympathy. Really, oh, you poor Jews. You're so confronted with anti-Semitism. You have a long history of being confronted with that hate and everything else. And, gee, I just feel sorry for you, And that's why the title of my show that was yanked from YouTube was called The Sorrowful Jew. And so the Sorrowful Jew says, well, we're going to have an anti-Semitism seminar, and it's only $250, and that will go toward raising awareness toward anti-racism around the world. And so if you, of course, you want to salve your conscience by professing that you're anti-racist, well, you give them the $250, maybe $500 for you and sweetheart. And then you walk your separate ways and you go, boy, that feels good. I'm an anti-racist. The Jew puts it in his pocket and says, well, this is going to help me with my agenda. You see? And that agenda might be everything that, attacks America's underbelly. I think Jews are very I think they're exploitative in character, and they have an axiom of life that they should reach out and help people, but I think the way they help people are exploitative, or it's the word I'm thinking of, from to exploit the situation, and I think that's how they exploit the homeless situation. I think that's how they exploit children at home watching X-rated movies, thinking that their Hollywood story is going to show how the underdog survives. But in reality, there's all the X-rated porn and murder and shoot-'em-ups and busted families and gangland, crimeland styled killings wrapped into it. That this poor kid who's home alone because the single-parent mom's out to the bar, and she's got all sorts of satellite and receivers, so the kid can see any of this kind of stuff. But this is the kind of movies that the Jew manufactures in Hollywood, and that's what exploits America's underbelly. Does the same thing with owning and running Associated Press and all the Hollywood and all the news by slanting the stories. Look what they're saying about Hamas being the most evil group in the world. That's the Associated Press writing the pro-Jew slant on this. But you see, everybody has a breaking point. So they call them terrorists, but they're just a bunch of really, really organized, pissed off people that after 76 years, I called this, I called this number that I saw advertised on one of the NFL shows, and I'm not a big NFL guy anymore, but I do watch a little bit of it. This is the standuptojewishhate.org, and so I looked it up and found the phone number 508-203-2527. Talked to this young lady, and I told her, I said, I'm Steve Horner. I said, why do you think Jews have had such a history of dislike and anti-Semitism? And what did they do to cause this hate? And it's rising now in the United States. And she said, well, why do you think? I said, I don't know. I called you. I said, I've got a perspective, but I'm calling you to ask you what it is. Well, no, that's fine. See, she wouldn't tell me. Because, it really doesn't exist. And I said, well, I think the real answer is their liberalism. I said, they were spearheaded by Karl Marx and Lenin, in the early 19th century and early 20th century. And, it's the Karl Marx liberalism from abortion to Zionism. And I think that's what creates the anger and the revenge and the bitterness. And so then, and then like in the Middle East, the land was given to, British took it over by power, and they're in imperialistic attitudes. The UN said, hey, look at these Jews have been tossed out of 12 countries, headed by Karl Marx. They can't find a home. And, we hope that maybe you'll give some of this property to the Jews. Well, this is Palestine. This is the former Canaan. This is and remember, I'm telling this woman this. This is the former Canaan. Okay, this is the land that Abraham came down from the mountain and said, "Oh my God, thank you, God just gave us this property." You see, that's that whole story. And I said that's what has upset people for so long, and I think that's what is the cause of all the anger. And I said, what do you think? And she said, well, what do I think about what? And I said, what do you think about my whole idea, theory about how this anger is in place, and it's only going to get worse because nobody is facing the real infrastructural problem, cause of the problem. And I said, so what do you think of that? She said, what do I think of what? I said, no dialogue, just a closed, stupid comment. And then she hung up on me. And ladies and gentlemen, members of the Cottage, that is why this is only going to get worse. Because nobody wants to talk about the root cause. There you go. Well, say, we are wrapping it up here. I got a cold brewski for me in the cottage fridge. Remember, as you are taking on those mountains, those challenges in your life, try to stay off the well-worn trail. Get off into the less beat traveled road, you see, because it'll be a little tougher, but it'll be better for you. It'll make you feel better about yourself and give you better memories. So in the meantime, you come back and see me again at the cottage. Good to have your company.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.